Welcome to ESPNU College Football Primetime, presented by Dr. Pepper. And we welcome you to the SEC on ESPN as it's a battle of the Tigers tonight from Memorial Stadium in Columbia as 15th ranked Auburn visits Missouri. Tonight is Auburn's first game in the state of Missouri in school history, and it's the first meeting between these teams since they met in the 2013 SEC Championship game. So glad you could join us from Columbia, Missouri tonight, along with former collegiate and NFL linebacker Ray Bentley. I'm Mark Neely. Ray, last week, Auburn hosted an FCS team, Mercer. Auburn turns it over 5 times. It turned into a much more competitive game than many people anticipated. They did go on to win. This week, the good news for Auburn is the fact that Kerryon Johnson, one of their key pieces on offense, is back from injury. Yeah, that's really good news for Gus Malzahn and the Auburn Tigers. And I got to tell you that this guy is really good. Kerryon Johnson just played a little over a quarter in their opener, had 16 carries for 136 yards. He's the real deal. And on the other side, Cameron Petway, he took over the job, and he ran 34 times last week for over 130 yards, 3 touchdowns. And he is a big back, 235 pounds. And Missouri has shown a little problem tackling those big guys. Well, Missouri quarterback Drew Luck and the Tigers would like to forget last week's 35-3 loss to Purdue. Some of the Mizzou players admitted after the game they were flat, had a lack of energy. Ray, how do they forget what was a disaster? Well, you know, it's tough because I'll tell you, football, the essence of it to me is adversity and how you deal with adversity. And I don't think Missouri handled it very well at all. They don't think they did. There was a lot of feeling sorry for themselves, pouting and whatnot on the sideline, to the extent where they went to Coach Odom and asked for a players-only meeting this week. They tried to iron it out. We'll find out today once they face some adversity here tonight. Barry Odom and the Tigers hoping last week was rock bottom and that it's up from here, but a tough test tonight taking on 15th ranked Auburn. Game 2 in the conference season for the Tigers. They lost here to South Carolina a couple weeks ago, but this is the conference opener for Auburn. Auburn will kick off. Daniel Carlson, who last year was second in the nation with a 79% touchback rate. He's better than that this year. He's put 14 of 16 for a touchback. And 15 of 17. And add to that total. So it'll come out to the 25. And the Mizzou offense will take the field. Last week, Ray, the Missouri offense didn't pass midfield until the last minute of the first half. Yeah, they only had 8 plays in the whole first quarter. They were 3 and out, and it was not pretty at all. And they took a physical beating from Purdue, which shocked a lot of people. So we'll find out tonight, right away here, how they are going to approach this. I expect their hair's going to be on fire. They're going to be flying around. At least if Coach Odom's message got to them, that's how we'll see them play. Well, we asked Coach Odom for the keys. The first thing he said was start fast. Crockett with a run up the middle. And he gains close to 5. Montavious Atkinson with the tackle. Mizzou would take a lot of that between the tackles tonight if they can get it. Yeah, they have to run the football. That's what Josh Heupel, the offensive coordinator, said they're built for. It's just a huge part. They cannot stand back there and throw the ball around all day. Here's the screen pass, Jonathan Johnson. He'll be about a yard short of the first down. We'll bring up about a 3rd and 1. One of the defensive linemen ran that play down. This defensive line for Auburn is as good as it gets. They are extremely fast. They fly all over the field. They make plays not just at the line of scrimmage. They'll hustle to the perimeter, and they'll also run down screens and things of that nature. These guys are relentless. Well, Josh Heupel, the offensive coordinator for Mizzou, at halftime of last week's game, moved from the field to the press box. He is in the press box calling the offense once again this week. And movement on the left side. Yasir Durant, the left tackle, and a 3rd and 1 will turn into a 3rd and 6. And those are the kind of mistakes that are killers. 3rd and 1 here, Mark. 3rd and 6, that's a whole different page in the playbook. Well, last week, Ray, and Missouri fans will remember this, I believe it was the second quarter, the Tigers committed penalties on 4 consecutive plays, 1 hold and 3 false starts.
False start, offense number 70, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Yeah, that was really probably the nadir of that performance. You know, when your offense puts it in reverse and tries to snap it 4 consecutive plays and gets yellow flags, something's going on.
Durant's a JUCO transfer.
Drawing the start today because Paul Adams is out.
So it is 3rd down at 6. 3 receivers at the bottom of the screen. And they hand it off to Willard. He's got nowhere to go as Marlon Davidson, number 3, moves right in to make the tackle and a loss of 3.
And Marlon Davidson's one of those guys I was talking about with that Auburn defensive line. He can disrupt a play in a hurry. And surprisingly to me, they didn't block him. You have to get at least 1 hat on him, and preferably 2 if you're going to run the football.
This is an Auburn defense, one of the best in the nation right now in total defense.
They're good.
Corey Fatoni, been one of the bright spots for Mizzou, and he lets another good one go. Roberts takes it all the way back at the 19, eludes one tackler, coming near side, a cut to the 20, but tackled there. And we'll see the Tigers, Auburn Tigers offense after a 55-yard punt from Fatoni. Jarrett Stidham, in his first season, began his career in 2015 at Baylor, sat out last year, and he's the man right now at quarterback for Auburn.
He struggled against Clemson, but who doesn't? Last week he played extremely well, hit 32 of 37 passes, including a school record 18 in a row. He's got an incredible arm, and he's getting better with the minutia, the little things that you have to do to run an offense.
They motion Ryan Davis. Stidham plenty of time after a 3-man Mizzou rush, and he's going deep for Davis, and it's caught by Kyle Davis all the way down near the Mizzou 20.
And they're going to go fast when they get up there. But this is what Gus Malzahn loves to do. He brought Chip Lindsey in as his offensive coordinator, and Coach Lindsey told us they like to take at least 8 shots deep in a ball game. Well, they started out with 1 and connected.
First play of the game offensively for 58 yards for the Auburn Tigers. And there is a carry for Johnson.
And the thing about this, Mark, is Stidham has all day. He steps up into it, launches it down the field, and a great job of getting his body between the ball and the defender by Kyle Davis.
That was Logan Cheadle who had the coverage on that. Gain of 5 by Kerryon Johnson after his first carry since coming back from the hamstring injury. And here's his second, and he's undercut by Cale Garrett. He is one of the guys that had one of the few that had a very good game last week, a career-high 12 tackles against Purdue, and had his first career sack.
And watching him on film, he has a really good knack of finding little alleyways to slide in there, and most of his tackles are low, right around the ankle. It's a pretty interesting phenomenon.
3rd and 4. Stidham tried to get him to jump with that clamp. Mizzou didn't. Looking towards the end zone. He's going to take off and run, step and hit hard late, and that was going to be close to the marker, but Anthony Sherrills will push him out, and the penalty is going to be a first down.
And it's a tough angle there to see if that contact initiated inbounds or out of bounds. No doubt he was well onto the yellow stripe, and those
personal foul, late hit, number 22 of the defense. Half the distance to the goal, automatic first down.
Those are the killers. Those are the things. It might have been. He might have stopped them, and instead it's 1st and goal. And those kind of things is what has really haunted this Missouri team. I think that's kind of close right there. I don't know that I'm blaming Sherrills so much for that. It looked like the contact initiated in the field of play, and that's what Barry Odom certainly thinks.
Yeah, he looked at the scoreboard, which had the replay, and he was not happy that the personal foul was called, and the spot was going to be key if that was going to be a first down or not. 1st and goal from Wildcat. Kerryon Johnson still fighting and is stopped inside the 2.
In this Wildcat formation that they run down here, Chip Lindsey did it last year, and if you recall, Kevin Balaj had 8 touchdowns in 1 game, and
I believe it was 7. Yeah, but he had a record.
7 or 8, but I know 5 of them for sure came out of that formation.
That was at Arizona State, where Lindsey was the OC last year, now in his first year with Auburn. Giving it to Kerryon Johnson, who waltzes into the end zone for a 2-yard touchdown run, and Auburn marches right down the field, 80 yards on their first possession to take the lead.
Flawless drive, and I got a little help from Missouri as well. and moving this ball down the field, and then nobody even touches Johnson on the cutback. He's into the end zone, and now Missouri has faced their adversity. And we're going for two, it looks like. But they're going to shift back in. There we go.
Yeah, that is the.
They'll pull the trigger on the trick stuff, that's for sure. Gus Malzahn, he's got a whole big old bag of those things.
Here's Daniel Carlson. Has not missed an extra point
in forever.
It's been 4 years since Auburn has missed an extra point. 80 yards, and Gus Malzahn's team has the early 7-0 lead in Columbia. Welcome back to the SEC on ESPN. You see the orange here, pretty good contingent of Auburn Tiger fans.
They were all over town today.
And they were enjoying the Tiger Walk as they welcome the team here to Faurot Field in Columbia. A touchdown for Kerryon Johnson. And Auburn just marched right down the field. Definitely got help from the personal foul call, Ray. And the more we looked at the replay, we kind of think Sherrill's that should have been okay with that hit, but that's not the way it was ruled.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that. I thought the contact was initiated in the field of play.
And another touchback for Carlson. And let's throw it to the studio and say hey to Chris Cotter. Chris, appreciate the update on that one. Of course, Auburn will be taking on Mississippi State next week, 6 Eastern time on ESPN next Saturday night. Drew Lock and the Tigers come back. They had a 3rd down and 1 on their first possession, Ray, and a false start penalty really wrecked that first drive. You look at the game 1 numbers against FCS team Missouri State when he set a school record, 7 TDs, 521 yards. Last 2 games has been more of a struggle.
Yeah, they played a couple of decent defenses.
They swing it out to Crockett. Is that a live ball? No. They're saying that was a pass, and Ray, that was really close to being lateral and a live ball. That's Trey Matthews over there.
Yeah, great reaction by Matthews. He changed course after the throw and got there immediately. And you're right, Mark, that was perilously close to being a backward pass.
And a lot of movement from Mizzou again.
Yeah, the first movement.
Prior to the snap, false start. Offense number 70. 5-yard penalty. Still 2nd down.
Second false start already on Durant.
And Nick Coe, 91 for Auburn, who is also a very good defensive end. He saw it right away and he moved, and then everybody started flying all over the place.
So backs Mizzou up to 2nd and 15 at their own 20. Lock looking left with time, fires deflected, picked off. It winds up in the hands of Carlton Davis.
And I'm interested in the body language of Missouri right now. Is their dauber all the way down? Are they going to be resilient? Are they going to handle this adversity? Because that's another bad break right there. And last week, after about halftime at Purdue, they had enough. And it's not going well here early for them. How are they going to respond? That's more important to me than any outcome of a ball game. Football is, yeah, you want to win, but the lessons you learn and the things you get to understand about life and dealing with hard times and adversity and problems, this is where they can set a tone for the rest of their lives, really.
Not a bad throw from Locke. It went off the hands of the tight end Reese. They swing it out, the catch and the spin move, and a tackle broke by Nate Craig Myers. Picks up a short gain of a yard or 2.
Actually, Devin Barrett came in there, Mark, and came out of the backfield, the true freshman. He gets involved in the passing game a lot with this outfit. And Stidham, the way he throws the ball, that guy is unbelievable. Just that little throw to the flat impressed me.
Kerryon Johnson hurdles one defender slightly and run out of bounds at about the 31. Another minimal gain there for Auburn. We were told we would see the freshman Devin Barrett. Last couple of games, really, Cam Petway had been the lone ball carrier for Auburn, and that's changing tonight.
Yeah, and Barrett, he doesn't have any carries yet, but he's caught a lot of foot passes, and he comes in for a running type play, and they get a lot out of him.
3rd and 9, 2 receivers to each side for Jarrett Stidham. They stack him up top. They made Craig Myers the forward receiver.
It's like Missouri wants to blitz.
Here they come off the edge. Stidham looking in the direction, and the catch is made by Henson. Hastings, that is. And he'll have the first down inside the 20. Cam Hilton had the coverage and a gain of 14 on 3rd and 9.
They did a great job picking up the blitz, and then Stidham gets it outside, and that's not an easy catch, but I'm really impressed with the athleticism of Will Hastings. He's got the quickest feet on the field.
Kerryon Johnson straight ahead. Runs into Terry Beckner for a pickup of 3.
Beckner can make a difference for this Missouri Tiger defense. The question is, how hot is he? How much is he ready to go? Because when he wants to turn it on, number 5 can dominate the interior.
Yeah, former 5-star recruit who's had his season's end with knee injuries last couple of years. Stidham pulling it down and running to the edge inside the 15, inside the 10. Puts the shoulder down, and he's going to be all the way inside the 5, near the 2 where he was met by Eric Beisel.
Stidham is an impressive scrambler to me. He does a great job up the middle, and then he's got really good wheels. He can outrun just about every defensive lineman in the SEC, and that's saying something because they got some fast ones. But he can get that edge. He's not a real elusive guy, but straight line speed, he's got it.
They fake the jet sweep to Stove, give to Kerryon Johnson, and well read by Terez Hall, Mizzou linebacker, who picks up the tackle for loss.
Yeah, his 5th on the year leading the Tigers, and that's one thing Terez Hall can do, get after the quarterback. He's a smaller guy a little bit, and he's able to slide through holes and find areas where there's nobody there, and then makes the play when he gets home.
They have the fullback Cox in there.
You got that.
As well as Palmore, and here's Kerryon Johnson finding his way into the end zone. 2nd rushing touchdown already tonight for Kerryon Johnson.
And this one out of that Wildcat, and they just run power as the football play to the right side, and they'll pull a guard. They've got 2 backs they lead up in there. I mean, they're putting a lot of bodies at the point of attack. And the key for Kerryon Johnson is patience. And you saw he didn't take off right away. He lets that thing develop, lets it kind of simmer a little bit, let it marinate, and then he punches it in.
2-yard touchdown run for Kerryon Johnson. The extra point is the 151st consecutive hit by Daniel Carlson. Ray, how is Drew Lock and Mizzou going to react now?
Well, that's what we're going to find out, because this was not pretty. Tip ball interception, and now the touchdown coming back, down 14-0. Drew Lock, what are you going to do?
ESPN College Football is presented by Dr. Pepper, the one fans crave, and in part by the all-new Volkswagen Tiguan, the new king of the concrete jungle.
Well, those are some pictures of the 1973 Sun Bowl in El Paso. The first time Mizzou played Auburn, and they had a little dust-up as you saw in some of the photos.
Spirited battle there.
That was won by Missouri 34-17. They met 40 years later in the 2013 SEC Championship game, and now tonight for the 3rd time ever.
And they had a bench-clearing brawl in 1973.
There is the touchback coming out to the 25. Let's check in again with Chris Cotter. Thank you, Chris. 99-yard touchdown run. Hard to better that, huh?
Right? I bet he gets 100 today.
Well, let's see how Mizzou responds here, Ray. See if they can get off the mat. Quickly down 14-0. Their 3rd possession. The first, the 3-and-out. The second was a turnover. This is Jonathan Johnson on the jet sweep, and he's going to get back to the line of scrimmage.
And it's hard to run on the perimeter against this Auburn defense because they're so fast. You know, it's not like they have great players on the corner. They do, but the key is everybody gets to the football and they fly around. This is really an effort defense.
Locke keeping it, and is hit after a gain of about 3. That was Trey Matthews who came up and got him.
That's how you fill the hole right there. And I got to tell you, being a former linebacker, when you get a chance to hit the quarterback, well, you get a little more excited. You really do. And why not, right? That guy's trying to get you all day.
Trey Matthews, who led Auburn in tackles last year, was 76. 3rd and 7 for Mizzou, looking for their first down. Reese goes in motion. Locke looking at his direction. And out of reach, incomplete. And there's the flag. Reese was the intended receiver. Steven Roberts scraped on him. And Mizzou's going to get their first down of the game by a penalty.
And they love to get that initial first down and then use their tempo. I mean, both these coaching staffs said that to us. That's what the tempo game
Pass
is.
Interference, defense number 14. Ball to be placed in the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
That's what the tempo game has evolved to, is picking and choosing your times. And when you convert a first down, that's a great time to do it. A lot of times the defense will have the 3rd down personnel on there, and you catch them in that. And so that's when you try to get your tempo going. But for Missouri, they're not able to tempo that one because it was a penalty.
Mizzou first down from their own 38. Takes the handoff to Ish Witter. Locke on the move, throwing towards the sideline, and a little wide and incomplete, looking for Rashad Floyd. But that time, Roland Locke out, trying to create a little more offensively with Drew Lock.
It's one thing you have to do, I think, against a defensive line such as Auburn's. And even though they still did run away, Jeff Holland, defensive end, put a whack on Drew Lock as he let go of the football. So you can avoid them for a while, but they're going to get you eventually.
Movement.
That's just lack of discipline. 4th penalty on the night.
Offense number 75. 5-yard penalty. Still 2nd down.
4th penalty on the night against Missouri. They've dropped 2 passes. They've turned it over once. They've got 3 missed tackles. It looks like more of the same. They're going to have to do something to turn this around.
Got 3.5 more quarters of this, and the natives are going to be even more restless than they were a week ago when many left at half.
And they are restless. Well, they got spoiled. They went to a couple of SEC title games in 14 and 15.
And here's Ish Witter. He's close to a first down, about a yard shy, stopped by Jeremiah Denson. And how about that? You take it chronologically, Ray. They did okay their first year in the SEC, but in year 2, they play Auburn for the SEC championship. Year 3 for them in the SEC, they play Alabama for the SEC title, and I'm sure expectations went through the roof.
Without a doubt. And you know, Gary Pinkel ended up retiring, and Barry Odom was left to pick up the mantle. And thus far, after a 4-8 season last year, and then this year, the start, they got a ways to go yet.
So looking to convert a 3rd and 10. Locke dumps up the screen. Reese had it, lost it, incomplete. He was hit hard by Jeff Holland, number 4. Holland has put a couple of hard licks on the Tigers, the Mizzou Tigers, in that sequence.
And Holland, we were talking to the defensive coordinator, Kevin Steele, and he said when he goes after people, and usually it's on like a bubble screen or that was a tunnel screen where those guys don't see him coming, he actually said he fears for that ball carrier, and I can't blame him, because when Holland brings it, he brings it all.
Fatoni's first punt went for 50-plus yards, and he gets into another one. Steven Roberts, fair catch made at the 9. 52-yard punt that time for Fatoni. 6:06 left first quarter. Auburn to get the ball. Kick off your Week 3 NFL Sunday with ESPN, because we've got a new time and a new team. Sunday NFL Countdown at 10 a.m. Eastern with Rex Ryan, Charles Woodson, Matt Hasselback, Randy Moss, Mort Shefty, and new host Samantha Ponder. They'll have all the early breaking stories, injury updates, preview each game right up to kickoff, and it all streams live on the ESPN app. A couple of touchdown runs already in this game for Kerryon Johnson. We saw them stretching out his right hamstring on the sideline. I think, Ray, that was more of a precautionary thing in this heat. Here's Stidham running up to about the 15 for a gain of 5.
Yeah, without a doubt, Mark. They were just, it was a maintenance stretch. When you're coming off a hamstring injury, you got to keep that bad boy loose. And if it tightens up on you, you're probably going to have to come out of the ball game. And I guarantee you, Kerryon Johnson does not want to do that after missing the last 2.
So So after a run officially of 4 yards for Stidham. And now it looks like Auburn wants a timeout.
Did not like the way it was set up.
Auburn, the first time out of the half.
So as Auburn uses the timeout, we'll take it as well here in Columbia. ESPN app is a fan's best friend. You can stream every ESPN and ABC college football game live at home or on the go. And you'll get access to scores, news, and highlights all season long. Download the ESPN app to start streaming now, even if you're here with the fans at Faurot Field in Columbia.
Yeah, I had my kids do that for me.
We need the help from the younger generation sometimes with technology. Yes.
Most times.
Second down at 6 after the Auburn Tigers use their first timeout. Stidham rolls out, fires Ryan Davis. Wrapped up initially by Logan Cheadle. Then some of Cheadle's teammates come help to drop him. But a gain of 7.
I was going to say, I like the way Davis just struggled for every inch he could get. And there's a difference between the way these two teams are playing right now, in my opinion.
Enough for the first down up to the 21 of Auburn. Stidham hands off. That's Devin Barrett.
Hey, he got a carry, a run.
He did. That is his first official rushing attempt. He'd had a couple of catches.
Trying to work him in. They're excited about the explosiveness he can bring to their offense with his speed.
Run it right, turn it up, Stowe. Actually, carry on Johnson for a couple there.
Johnson has a knack for finding that little crease. It looked like that one was going to be strung out all the way to the sideline, and he saw a little bit of daylight, was able to squeeze it up in there for a couple, 3 yards.
A third down and 7. How big is this for the Mizzou defense right here?
It's huge. If they could get him out here, that could be a great emotional boost for him. Looks like they're setting up to bring linebackers off the edge.
Kyle Davis in motion. Mizzou brings 4, chasing Stidham, who throws to the sideline, diving attempt, but incomplete and out of bounds. Jordan Harold, one of the defensive ends for Mizzou, was the one in pursuit of Jarrett Stidham.
And a captain on this football team. And if you're going to turn things around, it's a great place to start with your captain. Jordan Harold, the former walk-on, who started his career at Northwest Missouri State, decided he wanted to play Division I football and walked on here, and he's doing a whale of a job.
First punt of the game for the Auburn Tigers. Ian Shannon doing the punting, and a short punt, but he gets an Auburn bounce. And it'll be down at the 35. 40-yard punt. Well, the news around the Auburn Tigers, number 1, quarterback Sean White dismissed this week after an arrest last weekend on a public intoxication charge. You know, he was primary starter at times last year, 11 games. And then defensive end Byron Cowart, who was a very highly recruited,
the number 1 guy in 2015.
Defensive lineman. He came to the head coach and he basically said, Gus Malzahn, I'm not getting enough playing time. I want to move on. He also has a health issue with his mother. So those two off the roster now as of this week for the Auburn Tigers.
And it seemed to not even faze anybody. I was almost amazed by Gus Malzahn's attitude towards it. Hey, that's,
it's the next man up.
Right.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Play the next play, or play the next player in this case.
So that makes Malik Willis, a true freshman, the backup quarterback to Jarrett Stidham.
Right, and he didn't even go through spring, so he's a question mark.
Crockett breaks a tackle, and there's a nice run for the Tigers. A first down inside Auburn territory and a gain of 17.
And Demarie Crockett, if he gets going, that's really going to help this offense. Great cut. Good vision, and they blocked up front very well.
Quick tempo, give it back to Crockett, who hesitated, and Richard McBride, the linebacker, came right up and delivered the hit for no gain.
Yeah, they got right after him again. That's the old fool me once. Shame on somebody.
Thank you, George W. Under 3 minutes to play here in the first quarter. Send Crockett out of the backfield. Locke looking in his direction. Now spins, throws, and just buries it because it was well covered. It was in the vicinity of Albert Okwuegbunam, or Albert O as they like to call him.
And there were a lot of X's over by O.
Yes, there were.
A lot of Auburn color, and Drew Locke had no choice but to just ground the thing.
Okwuegbunam, who's a redshirt freshman. There he is, number 81. We passed up 5 Big Ten schools: Nebraska, Michigan State, Minnesota, Iowa, and Indiana to come to Mizzou. Here's a throw to the near side. For a moment, hit the hands of Jonathan Johnson, but comes out incomplete at the Auburn 30. Would have been enough for a first down.
And that's a catch you have to make. Very well thrown ball, good protection. Everything was executed up to the point where the ball hit the receiver in the hands. And it takes all 11 on every play, and that's been really the problem with Missouri is they get 10 of them going in the right way, and then one lets the rest of them down, and that just doesn't get it done.
Fatoni kind of angling it towards the far side. Bounces near the 6. And Mizzou is going to down it inside the 10. So Corey Fatoni continues to be the bright spot, which if the punter's the bright spot, Ray, that's not a great thing overall for the team, but Fatoni is doing his job.
Yeah, at least they got the punting end of things covered, right?
35-yard punt, but he places it beautifully inside the 10.
He also drew the biggest round of applause when they were announcing the players prior to the game. He's a bit of a cult figure, a hero around these parts.
Out of Franklin, Tennessee, Franklin High School.
Just a junior, he's second in the nation, almost just a shade under 50 yards a kick. Has a chance to be a Ray Guy Award winner.
Put Jalen Harris in motion. Hand off and carry on Johnson. Up to the 15, so he picks up 5 on first down. The safety Anthony Sherrill's up to deliver the wallop.
And you use the word pick, and that's a great way to describe the way Kerryon Johnson kind of works between those tackles. He picks his way, but he's got such great acceleration. When he does see that seam, he's out the back door.
Haven't had a carry for Cameron Petway yet tonight.
He's probably resting up after 34 last week.
Really being their only ball carrier the last couple of weeks. That's to the 19 again for Johnson. Picks up 4. Tackled by Eric Beisel.
But that's one thing that Gus Malzahn will do. He will ride a horse. If somebody's going good, he really doesn't want to change it. And that's why Kerryon Johnson has been in the ball game almost exclusively, except in passing downs when Barrett gets a chance.
Auburn 2 of 3 on third down so far tonight.
Unbalanced line here.
Kerryon Johnson, first down. He gets just enough. Needed 1, got 2. First down, Auburn.
Excuse me, Mark. That's one thing that this offense does a lot of. And talking with Chip Lindsey, they try to get matchups when they go unbalanced line, and they also try to get blocking angles, and then they create more gaps when you have more guys on one side. And if the defense doesn't adjust, you're looking pretty good.
Got Ryan Davis, Kyle Davis, as well as Will Hastings there at the bottom of your screen. 3 receivers on that side.
I think you got a one-on-one up top.
Going to give it to Kerryon Johnson once again. Picks up 3, close to 3 on first down. Kobe Whiteside, true freshman nose tackle for Missouri, brings him down.
So Missouri sending in some reinforcements. We'll see if we get another snap. They'll probably let this thing just run out, and we'll see the end of the first quarter. But it's important to keep guys fresh. And this Missouri defense, they played almost 44 minutes last week. That will wear you out in a hurry, especially with the heat factor.
First quarter has come to an end.
So we have played 1 quarter here in Columbia. Kerryon Johnson is back for the Auburn Tigers, and he has a couple of touchdown runs. 1 from 1 yard, another from 2 yards. A turnover was key for Auburn in that first quarter. They lead it by 2 touchdowns after 1 stanza. Welcome back to the SEC on ESPN. What is the conference opener for Auburn? Conference game number 2 for Mizzou. We enter the second quarter from Columbia. Auburn has the 14-0 lead and faces 2nd down and 7 from their own 25-yard line. Send Kerryon Johnson in motion. Swing it out to him. Johnson, running start, hurdles one of his own defenders. heads towards the sideline using a stiff arm and is pushed out of bounds at the 36 by Logan Cheadle.
And that hamstring looked pretty good on the hurdle. That's a hard thing to do when you're ailing a little bit. He saw that little roadblock in front of him, popped over top, and away he went.
Gain of 11, first down, Auburn. Devin Barrett now checks in the backfield for Auburn. Actually, Cam Martin, they fake the handoff to him. Going deep, Stidham has him open, and a catch. Hastings at the Mizzou 15. Second long shot to Hastings tonight. 48-yard gain.
And they took the top off the Missouri defense. The number one thing for a defense in the back end is they can't throw it over our head. Well, you be the judge.
Cam Martin gets in this carry, and he drags a defender inside the 5 all the way down near the 2. He had Anthony Sherrills and then Thomas Wilson on his back. 15-yard run for the sophomore Cam Martin.
Yeah, Martin had 136 yards in relief in the opener when Johnson got hurt.
Cam Martin again straight ahead to the 1. Tackle for Caleb Pruitt.
And this is the time they'll bring in that big old, I heard somebody call it the Bubba Cat. Now, I don't know if for sure if that's what they're calling it, but it looks like a Bubba Cat right now. You got some big Bubbas in there.
Got Tucker Brown, Jalen Harris, couple of tight ends at the fullback.
This is a different formation than they've shown.
That was Stidham who went in motion, and Kerryon Johnson from the Wildcat with his 3rd touchdown run of the game.
Oh, and he should have been down. Jordan Harold had him right at the line of scrimmage, and he broke the tackle. Watch 55 on the right of your screen. He's going to come in and make the hit right there, but he's not able to wrap up.
Kerryon Johnson now has a career high for touchdowns in a single game, and we're only not even 2 minutes into the second quarter.
And you mentioned Josh Heupel went upstairs in the booth for Missouri. Chip Lindsey did the same thing after 2 games down on the field. He went up last week, and seems to be working for them.
3 touchdown runs tonight for Kerryon Johnson, back from injury and thriving tonight for the Auburn Tigers.
All ESPN coverage is streaming live on the ESPN app. Download now and take ESPN everywhere.
Saturday evening here in Columbia, Missouri. The Auburn Tigers leading the Missouri Tigers 21-0. Still just over 13.5 minutes to go in this first half. A hot day here in Columbia, well into the 90s. And a hot, if not warm, evening here at Faurot Field. But right now, the Mizzou fans,
it's hot under the collar.
Yeah, they're wanting to see some signs of life from their Tigers. Another touchback off the foot of Daniel Carlson. That last drive rate for Auburn really began with that nice run by Kerryon.
Yeah, the hurdle over the pile of bodies, and he tries to get the edge. That got the chains moving on a 3rd down. Then they go deep, and nobody covers Will Hastings. Took the top off the defense, that moves him in, and then they bring Martin in as a change of pace. He almost changed it all the way into the end zone, and they finish off with the 3rd Johnson touchdown, and they are controlling this ball game. Look at the time of possession, the yards, the play. I mean, it's a whitewash right now.
Really a carryover time of possession from last week, Ray. Purdue had the ball here for over 43 minutes. Mizzou had it for just over 16 a week ago.
And it's been a trend for Missouri for the whole year, Mark. They only average 22 minutes of possession in a ball game. And that's great if you're scoring fast, but not so much if you're 3 and out and wearing out your defense.
Run there for Demarie Crockett of just a yard. It's Trevor Sims, the right guard. Last in FBS. There's a completion near the 30-yard line, and Jonathan Johnson.
I think they need to do a lot more of that. Quick passes, get the ball out of Drew Lock's hands. He throws as hard as anybody in college football. He can get the ball out to the perimeter in a hurry, accurately. They just have to get those receivers blocking a little better. And I think they should do a lot more of that.
3rd and 3 for Mizzou. Some late personnel changes. They have Ishwinner in as the back. 2 receivers to each side for Drew Lock. They send in motion Jonathan Johnson. Lock going to roll out. He's going to pass shy of the marker where Johnson tumbles forward, is close to the marker at the 35.
You have to run that route past the sticks. I mean, you're going to get hit immediately. And so for him to be a yard short in running that route, that's a little detail that gets you beat.
And he got it by the nose of the football. A fortunate spot, though, Ray.
A gracious spot. But he still didn't run the route to the depth that he needed to. And those are the little things that have been hurting this Missouri football team.
3rd first down of the game for Missouri. Lock taking a shot. Johnson double covered, but I don't know if he saw the ball late. Did not really try to make any kind of late adjustment on that throw.
Yeah, he never adjusted to the football. That was kind of weird. I thought they had him, and he did have him. He was behind the defender, but you got to go to the football. I don't know if he saw it. I got to say he probably did not see the football or picked it up late.
But he had a step or 2 on Jeremiah Dinson.
Yeah, and I like that they took the deep shot. You got to stretch a defense out.
Mizzou yet to target Jamon Moore, who's number 6 at the bottom of the screen for Missouri. It's Kendall Blanton in motion, the tight end, fake the handoff. Floyd. What a quick tackle made by Jeremiah Dinson, who bounces right back after, in some ways, getting beat on the previous play, and he comes up and makes that tackle.
That's the speed of this Auburn Tiger defense. I mean, it looked like he had a chance there for a minute, and Dinson closed that gap so quickly.
3rd and 6. The Tigers 1 of 4 on 3rd down tonight.
That last 3rd down, Auburn brought the heat. See if they dial it up again.
Auburn brings forward with a spy. There's the pass that is caught for a first down at the 48 by the tight end Jason Reese.
That is the arm I'm talking about. Great throw from Drew Lock. It's a frozen rope. You're going to get just an out route by the inside receiver, the tight end. Now he gets the necessary depth in this route. That's well run, well done.
So a 2nd first down on this drive for Missouri. They're up near midfield. They opted it. Crockett coming near side, nothing there. He may even lose a yard as Trey Matthews, number 28, there to bring him to the ground.
Yeah, I understand you have to try to run to the perimeter just to keep him honest, but you're not going to make any kind of living running the perimeter against the Auburn defense.
Empty backfield. Crockett, the normal running back, in the slot at the top of the screen. Lock, quarterback draw, hit hard right as he crossed midfield. By Trayvon Leonard, and also Richard McBride there, number 51.
McBride, that's that old hit, I get to hit the quarterback feeling again. And linebackers, they kind of live for that sometimes.
You would know.
I did for a while.
So 3rd down and 5.
Last time they ran out by the number 3, the inside receiver at the top of the screen. Let's see if they have a counter off of that.
Lock hit as he throws. A wounded duck lands incomplete. Jeff Holland, the one there to either deflect it, get a hand on it, and caused havoc for Drew Lock.
And this is the deal with this Auburn offense.
It was picked up by Auburn as if it was a live ball, just in case. It looked like a forward pass, but Auburn is saying it was not, and they kept playing and ran it all the way down near the 20. But we'll get another look at this.
Obviously they'll have to look at this.
Now the fumble's under further review.
So the officials never whistled it dead. And Marlon Davidson, apparently the defensive end,
come up with
the
it.
rest of the Auburn defense just kept playing and ran it all the way down near the 20.
Well, a well-coached defense will go after every football, even incomplete passes. Go pick it up. Now
that's a forward
an incomplete pass.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question there.
Mind, but
and they even stood around for a little bit, and then they realized, hey, I haven't heard a whistle, and Davidson picked it up, and he just took off.
Yeah.
Well, you know, if you're Marlon Davidson, you got nothing to lose there by doing that. If you don't hear a whistle, pick it up and run.
And that's how you coach them. Pick them all up. You don't let the officials officiate. You just play, baby, until the whistle, or the echo of the whistle, if you will. And I did not hear a whistle.
Now that's easily a forward pass. I mean,
I don't know why I didn't hear a whistle. I should have. But they did. They throw. You saw them. He threw the little marker down there to mark the spot where the fumble occurred.
Yeah, it seems like it's coming out, but that hand is going forward. This seems to be one of those type of plays, Ray, where the officials on the field would like to see it just play out because they know they have the luxury of the replay booth and don't want to whistle it dead too early if in case by chance we looked at it and said, oh, hey, that's a fumble. It shouldn't have been whistled dead.
I'd be shocked if this is anything but an incomplete pass. And no whistle on the field from what we understand, and they're going to try and determine whether or not it was a forward pass.
After review, the ruling on the field stands.
Wow.
First down, Auburn.
I am amazed.
Huh.
And Gus is happy. And Missouri is in disbelief.
Well, the call on the field being that there was no whistle.
Yeah, it was kind of rolling out of his hand a little bit, but the hand did come forward. I have a hard time with that one, I'll be honest.
So it goes as the second Missouri turnover. Johnson, the flip, the reverse stove. Hit it about the 17 by DeMarcus Acey.
And that's another trait of a Gus Malzahn coach football team. You get a big takeaway and you go for the throat on that very first play, either with a little razzle-dazzle, this time a burst, or you take a shot in the end zone. But you got the other team on their heels. That defense should be coming on the field, breathing fire and coming after you. So you try and trick them a little bit.
So Auburn did capitalize on the first Missouri turnover, trying to do so on the second as well. And here now running right, and then caught in the open field. Ryan Davis just shy of the 10 by Eric Beisel.
Beisel did a nice job of closing and making that hit. He splits time with Garrett at that middle linebacker spot. And Beisel, he calls himself Zeus. Did it way back in high school.
Go to the Wildcat with Kerryon Johnson. They have Cox, the fullback, in there. Send the tight end in motion. Kerryon Johnson trying to run right. Breaks its second tackle and then is hit out of bounds at about the 8 by Thomas Wilson.
And that's usually what happens when you get about the third or fourth time you run that play out of Wildcat. Ends up being a bounce out because you've already hit him right in that inside gap, right off the edge, that C gap a couple of times. They fortify that, but that guy's got to come from somewhere, and usually the bounce out or the cutback becomes available.
Once again in the Wildcat, as Kerryon Johnson with Stidham to his left. He fakes the inside handoff to Stove and rolls into the end zone for a fourth rushing touchdown of the game for Kerryon Johnson.
Great vision from Kerryon Johnson. He's supposed to go to the right, and you're going to see to his left. Look at that thing open up. And so he said, you know what? I don't have to run to the right if it's open to the left. And great vision enabled him to get up in there and power his way into the end zone again.
Stovall holding for Daniel Carlson. (28-0), and Auburn for the second time tonight takes advantage of a Missouri turnover. The battle of the Tigers right now, all Auburn midway through the second quarter.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Kraft Macaroni and Cheese, the part of parenting that's impossible to mess up, and Infinity, empower the drive.
From Memorial Stadium in Columbia, Missouri, Kerryon Johnson of the Auburn Tigers has 4 rushing touchdowns in his first game back after a hamstring injury that he suffered in the opener against Georgia Southern. 28-0 Auburn. Still 7:45 to play here in this first half.
And if Missouri fans were looking for something new this time, they aren't getting it thus far. And the outcry is going to get louder and louder.
Well, backup quarterbacks Jack Lowry and Micah Wilson were loosening along the sideline during that break after the last Auburn score. We'll see if there's any significance to that. First one to be returned tonight by Mizzou. Mason from the goal line gets just past the 20 to the 22. Well, next Saturday on ABC, we'll have a huge showdown in the ACC. Kelly Bryant at number 2 Clemson. They'll be in Blacksburg to battle Cam Phillips at number 13 Virginia Tech. Tigers, Hokies, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific, and also streaming live on the ESPN app. Of course, Auburn's only loss this year came in Death Valley, week 2, to then number 3 Clemson, 14-6. A game, Ray, that Auburn had the 6-0 lead in. It really kind of feels like a few plays they could have won that game.
Yeah, they could have been ahead 14-0 early in that one, and then who knows what would have happened. I think had they played them later in the year and Jared Stidham had gotten some of the cobwebs out from the 2-year layoff, might be a different story.
There's Larry Roundtree, the true freshman for Mizzou, gets his first carry of the game, and he's all the way up across the 35 to the 37, a 15-yard run.
Yeah, that should get them jacked up a little bit. Now they can go tempo.
Locke fires a completed pass to the 44 to Jonathan Johnson.
And they're going to go as fast as they can right now. They feel like they got a little rhythm here.
Quick snap, Locke hands off, Roundtree again, straight ahead. We'll have a first down right near midfield before he's stopped by Andrew Williams.
Yeah, and they're going to keep rolling this as long as they can with the tempo and trying to get that Auburn defense worn out and on its heels a little bit.
And doing it with the true freshman running back from Raleigh, North Carolina, Larry Roundtree. They fake the handoff to him, go to the sideline, catch made at the 45, and Demetrius Mason hugged out of bounds by Carlton Davis.
This offense was quasi-prolific at the end of last year. They can move the football. They had, 10 starters return. They've got guys that can do it. For some reason, they haven't figured it out yet, but they're capable.
Roundtree breaks through straight ahead. Then as Stephen Roberts jumped on his back inside the 35, a gain of 10+ there again.
Great blocking up front. Look at that huge hole. And I might have been able to run through that one.
Well, Mizzou may be onto something here, Ray. This tempo seems to agree with them. Roundtree again. Just a yard or so that time. That's Montavious Atkinson helping out on the hit, and he also lost his helmet, so he's going to have to come out for a play.
There's a lot of guys getting up slow, and you look at the way this thing has materialized for Missouri.
First 6 quarters are the complete game in the opener against the FCS team from Missouri State in the first half against South Carolina.
Yeah, they scored 72 in that opener.
Demarie Crockett now does come in for Roundtree in the backfield for Mizzou.
This is the area of the field where you can start maybe opening up the playbook.
Emmanuel Hall manned up top. Locke instead sends it to Albert O. Brought down by Stephen Roberts inside the 30.
Quick little short pass. I like them doing that. Drew Locke's even over 50% completions right now.
And it's 3rd and a call at 5. Mizzou 2 of 6 on 3rd down. Floyd. First down, Mizzou inside the 20.
That's an excellent throw again from Drew Locke. They run the slant against the blitz. There's no underneath coverage. Zipped it in right on the number. Move the chain.
Picked up 9 and the first down, but then Crockett runs into the wall. That is Richard McBride, number 51.
This is as good a drive as I have seen this Missouri Tiger football team put together. This will be the 9th play. They've covered 60 yards on it already.
Arguably, it's been their best drive since the South Carolina game.
I won't even argue that.
One of the few times you won't disagree. But the receiver up top, Hall. I know he's one that you like to keep an eye on.
Yeah, he hurt his shoulder a little bit against Purdue, but to me, he's probably has the highest end of all their receivers.
Locke gave a look his way, but sets up that screen. Crockett inside the 5, touchdown, Missouri. And the Mizzou offense comes alive. 19-yard touchdown there.
He had a couple of great blocks, Mark. Jamon Moore and Rashad Floyd both stuck on their man. There was really nobody who could make this play. Little screen pass, he sneaks out. They leave those defensive linemen free. And Drew Locke, how you feeling right now, buddy?
Well, maybe that's a shot in the arm for the Tigers. The Mizzou Tigers, they really needed that. Tucker McCann for the point after.
It's the longest scoring drive of the season for the Missouri Tigers.
Is that the turning point for Missouri?
Well, we'll find out, but it's a great drive. I love the tempo and the toughness, the way they ran it. They're down 21.
Extra Yard for Teachers Week is a week-long celebration of teachers led by the College Football Playoff Foundation through its Extra Yard for Teachers platform. You can visit the College Football Playoff Foundation website at www.cfp-foundation.org to learn more about Extra Yard for Teachers Week and see how you can get involved. Missouri offense got involved. Well, their first 5 drives, they had a total of 62 yards gained. That last drive raised 78 yards.
A really nice drive.
Touchback coming out to the 25. Oh, here's Mizzou lineman Kevin Pendleton. He has a shout out to one of his favorite teachers.
Math is a subject that a lot of people struggle with, but fortunately for me, I had Miss Jones when I was young, and now math is one of my strongest subjects. It's something that, you know, I've always prided myself on being good at. I'm so grateful for her. She's an amazing lady and a great teacher.
Shout out to Miss Cindy Jones from Washburn Middle School in Topeka, Kansas. From Kevin Pendleton, one of her former students.
Teachers impact lives so much.
Every day. Cam Martin. Well, the Mizzou offense found a little spark. Now, Ray, can the Missouri defense extend that with some kind of stop here?
That's what you see a lot of times. One part of one unit of a team catches fire, and that can become infectious. And you know, you turn yourself into a log and jump on that fire and get things going. We'll see if that defense gets inspired.
Stidham hands off to Martin. Running left this time. Got a nice block down the sideline. Makes a cut inside Mizzou territory. It's a foot race and an ankle tackle made inside the Mizzou 30 by Cam Hilton, who saved the touchdown.
Great blocking on the edge, and then when Cam Martin gets in open field, he is something to behold. Now, he got run down on that. I'm not talking about his breakaway speed, but his ability to weave his way through open field is pretty good.
Martin follows what was a 47-yard run with a 1-yard run where he's tackled by Cale Garrett.
Yeah, I'm sure Garrett wasn't too happy about the previous play and time to step up in there. But this offensive line for the Auburn Tigers, I think, has improved. You know, they've moved Casey Dunn into the center spot, and Austin Golson, the normal center, has to bump out to right tackle because Darius James was a little bit injured. He started but didn't continue, so they did the same arrangement last week.
Yeah, James got hurt in the second half of that game against Mercer. They did that same thing. Ryan Davis has a lick put on him by Caleb Pruitt.
Caleb Pruitt has really impacted this football team. He transferred from Kansas State. Let's hear this one. Oh, yes, music to my ears. He transferred from Kansas State, had to sit out last year. I talked to Coach Odom about him, and he said he's done a really good job, and it has continually improved and is on an arc to be one of the better defenders on this team.
Malik Miller, it is the back. Stidham taking a shot towards the end zone and a little behind Ryan Davis, who got twisted around, being covered by Anthony Sherrills. 4th down, they got the big leg of Daniel Carlson. They will bring him out for the field goal attempt.
Carlson can, you said big leg, and you're right, Mark. He's career-wise, he's 9 of 15 from 50+. And he'll tell coach before the game, what are you good at? He'll say, well, 60 tonight, coach. And he believes him.
He's already the all-time leading scorer in Auburn history. He has 4 extra points tonight, so he has 381 career points. Can he make it 384? Absolutely, right down central. And that makes it a 31-7 game. Still a minute 45 to play in half number 1 from Mizzou. Allstate is proud to be part of the team that comes together to do good by contributing to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kick. To date, Allstate has contributed millions in scholarship funds. Minute 45 to go in the first half. Auburn to kick off. Auburn won the toss and deferred to begin the game, so they kicked away. Auburn will get the football to begin the second half. So Mizzou at minute 45.
We'll have to see if they can pick up off the momentum of that previous drive, Mark. The best drive I've seen them have, including watching the previous couple games on tape. It looked like they knew what they were doing on that one.
Yeah, the tempo really did the Mizzou Tigers offense well. Demetrius Mason is going to let that sail out of the back line of the end zone. Let's take a look at that last drive. And it was a freshman running back. Roundtree really kind of got it started.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the initial first down they got. Nice fake by Locke to make you think he's going to throw it, but that busted things open. Then they come with a slant to get him down in the red zone. They throw the screen outside. Good blocking by the receivers. And Crockett to the house.
That was their 6th drive of the game. When you compare that with their first 5, there's no question that last drive by far their most successful of the game.
The key to them, to me right now, and they said it to us, the initial first down of that drive, now they can ramp up the speed and the tempo. But you got to get that thing.
Ish Witter is the running back for Mizzou. He has the carry. A little there, maybe a yard or 2 tops. Marlon Davidson, number 3, with the tackle.
Missouri with a full complement of timeouts here. They have the time to go and get another score, get more points before this half ends.
Probably have to be careful if they have a quick 3 and out here. You don't want to give that
Auburn
offense.
That's the other part of it too, and I think that's why they're not going extremely fast right now. They need to see something good first. There it is.
And Witter, first down, keeps the feet moving all the way up to the 39. And a gain of 13. Will they get quickly to the line? And
they should. I imagine they will, and they are.
A quick snap. Locke hands it right back to Ish Witter. Across the 41. A tackle again for Marlon Davidson. Gain of 2.
Yeah, we're under a minute now. They have to start thinking about throwing the football if they're serious about getting a score.
3 receivers at the bottom of the screen. That's Johnson, who started to go in motion. Now
the fans aren't happy. They're down to 40 seconds.
Locke, here comes some pressure. He fires to Johnson, who makes the catch and steps out of bounds at the Auburn 45. That's his 6th catch of the game for Johnson, the most for Mizzou.
Yep, just that out route. They out of trips, they clear it out, and they run him over there, and boom, wide open. Go fast again.
12-yard gain. Witter.
Now use your timeout. And they had a problem last week, and Barry Odom was right up in the official's pocket.
Timeout Missouri, the first time out of the half.
They cost themselves another opportunity to throw the ball into the end zone because they couldn't get the timeout. Now, they told us, Josh Heupel says, I called a timeout, but they wouldn't give it to me. They need the head coach to do it.
That was last week against Purdue at the end of the first half. Well, our Week 3 Monday Night Football matchup has Dak Prescott and the Cowboys in the desert to take on Carson Palmer and the Cardinals. Our coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown, served by Applebee's at 6 Eastern on ESPN, and the game is also available on ESPN2 in Spanish.
See, you talk about effort. We'll see if this guy wants to play this week.
Yeah, there was some question about that.
Well, he admitted
Denver, yeah.
That to me is the cardinal sin. You can't do that to your teammates. That's not good juju.
Especially when you got so much kind of brewing around on and off the field around Zeke right now.
Right? Well, he's young. Maybe he'll come around.
2nd down and 8. With 29 seconds to go, Mizzou still with 2 timeouts. Locke in trouble, throws towards Moore just to get it out of bounds. And live another down, stopping the clock with 23 seconds left.
And there literally was nowhere to go with the football for Drew Locke. It was color on color down the field. He would have had to try to force something in there, so he made a good decision just to get it out of bounds, stop the clock, and go for this 3rd down here.
As you see, Mizzou 3 of 7 on 3rd down. Locke trying to set it up, but well read by that Auburn front line. They hesitated, and he just buried it into the turf. And it's 4th down.
Tried to run a tunnel screen, and the tunnel was closed.
Auburn sniffed that one out.
And I got to give Kevin Steele, the defensive coordinator, the credit for that. He's got his guys schooled up. He said he's reinvented himself 3 different times, and the most recent one is a lot more mellow than he used to be.
Don't get near the ball. Get away. Get away.
The Fatone punt bounces near the 5, and the Tigers will down it there. 37-yard punt and another good one from Fatone to pin him in with only 9 seconds left in the half. Let's take a look at our championship drive update brought to you by Dr. Pepper. Florida State beaten by North Carolina State. First 0-2 start since '89. And how about TCU? Oklahoma State. Some teams, some pundits said, hey, that's a team that could win the Big 12.
I'm no pundit, but I certainly thought so.
Alabama won easily at Vanderbilt. All that and more coming up at the half. Well, Auburn
is going to get a kneel down here.
I would assume so. They have 4 touchdown runs from Kerryon Johnson, and Stidham will take a knee. And it's 31-7, 15th ranked Auburn leading it here at the intermission from Columbia, Missouri. 4 rushing touchdowns for Kerryon Johnson. Like Williams holds the school record for rushing touchdowns with 6 in a game. Auburn will get the football to begin the second half. That's the end of half 1 from Columbia. Welcome back to ESPNU College Football Prime Time, presented by Dr. Pepper. As we welcome you back to the SEC on ESPN from Columbia, Missouri. About ready to start the second half. The Battle of the Tigers, Auburn leading Missouri 31-7. Along with Ray Bentley, I'm Mark Neely. Ray, we still have a half to go, but if I'm a Mizzou fan, I'm thinking to myself, am I seeing a better effort so far than what they got last week?
Without a doubt. I mean, last week I kind of feel like they quit and gave up at half. Here they kicked it in the second quarter, got something going on offense, and held Auburn to just a field goal on their last drive. So, yeah, things are moving in the right direction.
And Kerryon Johnson is carrying it in the right direction for Auburn.
Yeah, that would be the direction of the end zone. 4 touchdowns in the first half. 3 of them out of this Wildcat formation. First 2, he just jams it up behind that plethora of blockers that he has. And in the final one, it's the cutback. He uses that great vision and finds the opening. But Missouri did answer. They had a really nice drive, perhaps their best drive of the year. Finished it off with this DeMarie touchdown run after a catch from Drew Locke.
Auburn to get the football to begin the second half. Over the head of Benagini for the touchback. Let's take a look at tonight's game track, brought to you by Taco Bell. A couple of Missouri turnovers have led to 14 Auburn points tonight.
And Stidham has been deadly with the throws, 9 of 11. He completed 86.5% of his passes last week. He's following up with near that this week. That's pretty good stuff.
Yeah, that completion percentage last week, second in SEC history. Only Tim Tebow with an 89% completion percentage against Cincinnati in 2009. Better in conference history.
And that was on 37 attempts. That's throwing the ball around a lot a little bit and completing 32 of them. Pretty accurate, I would say.
When we talked with Gus Malzahn last night, he said to us, hey, Jarrett Stidham, yeah, he played at Baylor, but for me right now, he's still really a freshman.
Well, he had 3 starts with Baylor, and then he took 2 years off. He transferred out of there, spent last year at a community college and then finally got in here at Auburn. But he tore it up pretty good when he was working with the Baylor Bears back in 2015. He hit 75 of 109, had 12 touchdown passes.
After a couple of carries by Kerryon Johnson, a 3rd and 6 for Auburn. We're 4 of 6 on 3rd down. Instead of passes to Ryan Davis, open field, ankle tackle attempt. He'll have the 1st down. The line to gain was the 35. Logan Cheadle could not prevent him from making that line to make 1st down Auburn.
And that's, to me, you know, another example of maybe an Auburn guy wanting it a little more. Fighting at the end to get that inch that he needed to move the chains, and Missouri was not able to stop him.
It's Cox, the fullback, in motion. Stidham throws far side. That is Nate Craig Myers for a gain of about 4, where he's pulled down by Logan Cheadle.
Good open field tackle by Cheadle, because if he doesn't make that, it's time to strike up the band. They did a fake on the run in the other direction. There was nobody over there but Cheadle.
Coming to Eli Stone, who gets a block on the edge. There is a flag. He's down the sideline and may be gone. We'll see if it stands.
It won't. Sorry. Kyle Davis grabbed the guy, and that's what gave him the sideline. He stove the edge. And I mean, that flag came out immediately. I reached into my pocket up here.
Well, brings back a 60-yard.
Offense number 11. 10-yard penalty. Repeat 2nd down.
Brings back a 60-yard touchdown, which would not have happened without the hold, probably.
No, I have to believe that it wouldn't. But here it is on the edge, and the block is coming right there. And it was actually prior to that where the arm was around him. And we'll have another look, and you see him grab it.
Yep, right there.
And that's pretty obvious. When you got a hold of some jersey, it's hard to say you didn't really do that.
Eli Stone, when he gets going, though, he can be a tough one to catch. That's a guy that really liked to use in that jet sweep game.
Got some speed.
Empty backfield. Now they motion Kerryon Johnson to the far side. Stidham trying to set up the screen to Nate Craig Myers. Incomplete.
It's one of the rare misfires from Stidham on one of the shorter passes. But good defense by Missouri as DeMarcus Acey, the corner. And that's what you have to do against those quick screens. You got to attack it and change the course of that guy trying to get to the football. And that's exactly what Acey did.
But I think you like Auburn throwing those shorter passes, don't you? They'd like to see more of that.
Yeah, I think that's really how they matriculated down the field here early on. And Stidham is so accurate and gets it out so quick on those. Hard to stop.
He looked like he wanted to take a deep shot. Instead, he'll run with it, uses a stiff arm, and then spun down near his own 45 by Anthony Sherrills. Where they mark him, he will be short by about 2 yards of a 1st down.
I think that run right there tells you all you need to know about Stidham. He's tough, he's fast, but he's not particularly elusive. But he actually stayed in bounds and tried to get that 1st down. Wasn't able to.
So 4th and 2. There's the numbers on Stidham. The completion percentage again is very high.
There is a
Mizzou player down is Anthony Sherrills. Actually, he's on a knee right over by the Auburn sideline.
And they can ill afford to lose Sherrills. He's one of their leading tacklers back there and plays a good brand of ball. He kind of throws the shoulder in, and he wasn't square. And when you hit a guy kind of a glancing blow on the shoulder, that can create issues.
Sherrills out of Hogan Prep School. He's from Kansas City, Missouri. Tonight is his 42nd consecutive game, which is the active leader for Mizzou.
Yeah, he has 23 career starts. That's also the most of any defender they have.
So the senior off the field showed a little more pep as he gets to his sideline. Ian Shannon's 2nd punt of the game and the fair catch for Floyd at the 16. 40-yard punt for Ian Shannon with no return. We'll see the Mizzou offense when we come back.
Right now, you're watching that, while Dari, Gene, and Chris are watching this, doing that, and talking to this guy, which means you can watch it all later when you tune in to SEC Now, tonight on the SEC Network.
Welcome back to the SEC on ESPN. from Memorial Stadium, Perot Field in Columbia. First possession of the second half for the Missouri Tigers. And what is the first ever game for the Auburn Tigers here in the state of Missouri? Locke hands it off to Crockett, off left tackle, found a crease to get across the 20. Held up there by Montavious Atkinson, the junior linebacker, gain of 5.
This is a play they love to run. Watch the right tackle, 77. Paul Adams is pulling around to lead the charge. That's a long way for the big guy to go.
Running left again, Crockett trying to push that pile to about the 23 for 2 yards.
And that was a play they had a lot of success with a couple of weeks ago against South Carolina. And talking to Josh Heupel, I asked him about that play. He said, yeah, we should have ran it more last week against Purdue, and you'll see it again this week. And that was the first time they've run it tonight.
3rd and 3. 3 of 8 tonight on 3rd down. Send in motion Jonathan Johnson. Thrown out to Jonathan Johnson in space. He's tackled for a loss back at the 18 by Jeremiah Denson. Loss of 5 yards.
Denson plays that nickel backer, and he's like a linebacker the way he gets after it. And he simply just saw the expansion after the motion. I think they missed an offsides on this one. I think Holland was offsides, but it's a moot point now. And a great open field tackle from Denson.
Denson, a guy who tore his ACL, MCL, and PCL in his career. And he says, now I appreciate every moment on the field coming back from that.
I did the same thing to all my CLs.
Fake! There's a flag. He didn't make it anyway. The line to gain was the 26, Daniel Thomas.
It looked to me like had he run straight up the field, he had it.
And Corey Fatoni, the punter, on the fake.
Offense number 38. The penalties decline. First down.
Well, a gutsy call, but Auburn's going to take over at the inside the Mizzou 25.
Yeah, they get Beisel, the left up back, on the hold. And there, yeah, he just goes out and grabs the guy. And I guess on this look, it's not a bad cut by Fatoni to try and take it outside. They must have saw something on film of the Auburn Tiger punt return team bailing out of there and felt like they could maybe gash him up the middle. But that was a long way to go on a fake punt on your own, what, 25-yard line?
Yeah, what do you think about the timing of that call?
I think it's desperation and unnecessary. But when you're in a funk like they are, you got to try things like that to shake it up. So I'm not mad at nobody.
They take over on the Mizzou 22. Eli Stone with his speed reaching for the goal line. Did not make it in, is close. Thomas Wilson stopped him inside the 1.
And this is a play that has stung the Missouri Tigers a couple of times, and now you see a little pace from Auburn trying to punch another one in.
Well, Kerryon Johnson, is he going to get a chance for his 5th? He dives towards the end zone. Touchdown. Well, Cadillac Williams holds the Auburn record with 6 rushing touchdowns in a game. That was back in 2003, and this is number 5 for Kerryon.
Yeah, and just great awareness by Kerryon Johnson. He takes off from about the 3, but watch him extend the football while he's still in the air. Right there, that's to me, he broke the plane, and of course our linesman agreed and shot the hands up with little doubt.
Well, Kerryon Johnson led Auburn with 11 rushing touchdowns a season ago.
And it's not like he's tearing it up with 18 carries, 48 yards, but then you look at that last line, 5 TDs, that's pretty good.
Well, that's his 3rd touchdown run of a yard. He has one from 2 yards. His longest tonight has been from 7. Daniel Carlson. And the point after. Well, Mizzou thought they'd try the fake punt on 4th down on their first possession of the half. It did not work out.
You ask any coach if he likes these kind of trick plays, and he'll tell you, yeah, if they work. Well, that one backfired.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by the all-new Volkswagen Tiguan, the new king of the concrete jungle. And Cabela's. Get to Cabela's for all your hunting, fishing, and camping needs. Cabela's, it's in your nature.
This is the conference opener for Auburn. Conference game number 2 for Missouri. 38-7. Auburn 10:35 to play, third quarter. Demetrius Mason back deep for Missouri. Receive the Carlson kickoff. And through the back line for the touchback. Well, that last touchdown for Auburn really made by that jet sweep for Eli Stowe, but how about that huddle prior?
Yeah, well, they do it right out of the deal, and this is called a sugar huddle. He's going to release the 2 receivers so that as soon as they get to the line, they're going to want to snap this ball as quickly as possible and catch Missouri not quite ready to play. I don't know if that is what got this hole open or just plain execution and blocking. I think it's more the latter than the former, but still another little tactic that Gus Malzahn and Chip Lindsey used to try and get a defense on its heels.
I got to ask, why is it called the sugar huddle?
I don't know why offense names things they do, but as a defender, that's what I was told that it was. So probably because it was so sweet.
Well, it worked out sweetly for Auburn there. Larry Roundtree's come in as the back for Mizzou. He provided a spark for them on their one scoring drive tonight. Locke fakes the handoff to him, takes a deep shot. His man's got to step to throw a little behind Emmanuel Hall, who could not come up with the sliding catch.
And if I'm coaching this team, I'm going to throw that ball deep to Hall 5 times a game because he just seems to always be able to get open. And that's a rare underthrow from the strong-armed Drew Locke.
Yeah, John Broussard beat by a number of steps there.
You see Locke's numbers right around that 50% mark again, and not the prolific yardage that you usually see from him, or have seen from him, I should say.
Tight end Kendall Blanton up to about the 32. Gain is 7, brought down by freshman nickelback Jordan Peters for Auburn.
This Auburn defense is hanging in there as far as allowing yardage. Just 179 yards on the day, and they've held everybody under 300 yards so far. In fact, they only allow 201 a game.
Locke brings it back down, and it's off the hands of Roundtree. 4th down.
And that's another, just one guy not getting it done. It looked like he had an opportunity to get that first down had he caught the football. That's the 5th drop pass tonight for Missouri. They're not helping Drew Locke out a whole lot. And those on 3rd down, when you can get it and convert, those are critical.
Corey Fatone and Mizzou tried a fake punt last time. Fatone boots this one away. Stephen Roberts sees that bounce, and it takes an Auburn bounce back across the 40, and it's going to be down to about the 43. Just over 9.5 minutes left in this third quarter. Kick off your week 3 of the NFL Sunday with ESPN, because we've got a new time and a new team. Sunday NFL Countdown at 10 a.m. Eastern with Rex Ryan, Charles Woodson, Matt Hasselbeck, Randy Moss, Mort Shefty, as well as new host Samantha Ponder. They'll have all the early breaking stories, injury updates, and preview each game right up to kickoff, and it all streams live as well on the ESPN app. Well, a rare misconnect for Mizzou punter Corey Fatone, just a 29-yard punt. And Auburn has starting field position at their own 43. Stidham wants to take a deep shot on 1st down, and wide open, all alone, Nate Craig Myers, touchdown Auburn.
Yeah, and it looked like Cam Hilton slipped and fell down. He's the one who had the coverage. And they flood the weak side with both backs. And that puts some stress on this defense, and then it's man-to-man, and that's about as easy as it gets because Craig Myers had no one within 10 yards of him as the defender fell down.
57-yard touchdown grab for Nate Craig Myers. Had 1 touchdown catch last year, and that's his first of this year. And 45-7 after the PAT from Daniel Carlson. 1 play, and Auburn ups the lead.
And it's Jarrett Stidham. Give him the credit on that one. 13 of 16 right now for 218 and a touchdown.
Well, our Week 3 Monday Night Football matchup has Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. They're in the desert to take on Carson Palmer and the Cardinals. Our coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown, served by Applebee's at 6 Eastern on ESPN, and the game is also available in Spanish on ESPN2. Nate Craig Myers, 57-yard touchdown catch.
That one was almost too easy. I'm going to closely inspect the body language of this Missouri football team, because it's really important for them that they keep fighting, regardless of what the scoreboard says or your circumstances, or maybe you feel sorry for yourself. Can't do that.
Touchback for Daniel Carlson. Let's take a look at this week's rankings, brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Vanderbilt came in with high hopes in Nashville against #1 Alabama, but the Crimson Tide said, hey, we're #1 for a reason, 59-0. Boston College early kind of challenged Clemson, but the Clemson Tigers 34-7. Oklahoma leading Baylor. That's a lot closer game than we anticipated.
Yeah, and are they playing baseball in Iowa?
Well, 7-5. Somebody got a safety in there, didn't
they have a 6-4 game one time, too, between those two teams?
So look at our AP top 10. Auburn began this week ranked 15th.
And they'll be moving up.
Option lock keeps Drew Lock to a slide, but he runs for 11 yards. First down, Mizzou.
Yeah, good decision by Drew Lock. I mean, when you run that option, if nobody's there to stop you, you can just keep on rolling. And they wanted to run him a little bit more. At least that's what Josh Heupel told us.
Dangerous pass, but caught by Demetrius Mason, who was able to spin around quicker than Carlton Davis.
No, I think he dropped that one.
He is out. Okay.
Shot through his hands, but that was a dangerous throw from Locke. He tried to hit him on the back shoulder and stick it on him, but the defense with Davis was right there. There was really no place to go with that ball. You're right. It was a dangerous throw.
Locke finds Johnson. He's been his most frequent target tonight, his 8th catch of the game, and a Mizzou first down to midfield.
Yeah, hit that slant and got it in there just before Trey Matthews closed on it from his linebacker position. Good timing from Drew Lock, getting it into that little seam.
Johnson motions out of the backfield. Lock, long look, comes near side. First catch of the game, Jamon Moore broke one tackle, but then stepped out. He was inches away from breaking that even more.
This is the very first time they've thrown to the X receiver all night long. The X being the lone guy on the backside. They finally tried to work that over there and exploit it. Otherwise, you know, Jamon Moore, he's pretty much had the night off. He's just standing over there on that backside and occupying one guy, so they're basically playing 10 on 10.
Was a 10-yard gain, first down to the Auburn 40.
I think they need to do more of that, Mark. Work that one-on-one. You've got it's a one-on-one on that backside more often than not.
There's the rush for Ish Witter. And the other part of that equation, Ray, is, you know, Jamon Moore arguably has been their top receiver for a number of years, and he just was targeted for the first time midway through the third quarter.
Yeah, came into the game with 10 grabs and averaging 92 yards a game. So he's their big play guy, and they've gotten it to him some, but that was the first time all day, and that don't make any sense.
Handed off to Witter, reversed. Collins. Dominant Collins inside the 40. They'll mark him out at the 37, run out by Trey Matthews.
And again, Mark, it's a deal where that's defense. I mean, you want to try and run a reverse or get to, I'm not recommending it. They're just too fast. It looked initially like it might have been there, but it disappeared quickly with the speed of these Auburn Tigers.
Mizzou 3 of 10 on third down. at least 7 yards here to extend this drive.
They had a late switch. Danny Williams there down on the hash. And now they're switching back, changing the defense as Auburn. They went to man-to-man. Now they're going to go. They're playing it cover 2, actually.
Lock throws it in the direction of Rashad Floyd. 4th down. Jordan Peters, that true freshman, over in the vicinity again, out of Muscle Shoals, Alabama.
Honestly, if I'm Barry Odom, I'm going to go for this one. You know, you're at the plus 37. It's 4th and 7. What's a punt going to do for you? I just...
Especially if it's touchback, you're only going to have a net of about 16, 17 yards. But if Tony's a good one, he'll try to pin him in. And he's touched at the 4, but bounces back near the 10. One of the fans here in attendance tonight supporting the Auburn Tigers is one of their super fans, Buddy Davidson.
Good buddy in the middle?
Yeah, he's attending, look at this, 698 straight game. He's been coming to every game since 1957. Suffered a stroke about 3 years ago, but has not kept him from making the Auburn games.
That's some serious dedication to the program, and they recognize that. I think that's great.
So Auburn's next 2 games after this are home against Mississippi State and Ole Miss. So if he attends those 2, which we anticipate he will, that'll be 700 straight.
700
for Buddy Davidson.
That's amazing.
Head off straight ahead, Cam Martin. Now, speaking of that Auburn schedule, the Mississippi State game next weekend, 6 Eastern on ESPN. Then they're taking on Ole Miss before they go on the road next at LSU on the 14th of October.
I'm still trying to figure out how many years it would take to go to 700 football games.
I think the clock says that you're probably not going to challenge that record, right?
No.
2nd and 6 again, Cam Martin. Auburn with the 45-7 lead, and Ray, this would appear to be a time when they can get guys like Martin, perhaps even Devin Barrett, a few
for sure
carries in this game.
Yeah, and there's still 5 minutes change left here in the 3rd quarter. When you get into the 4th quarter, I hope that my board has enough guys on it, because they're going to be going deep into that bench.
Stidham rolling out. Throws a little high and through the hands of Sal Cannella.
Cannella's looking around like, what happened? Where'd that ball go? It looked like it did. It slid right through his hands. And he's still wondering what happened.
That's a rare 3 and out tonight for the Auburn Tigers offense, and that is their first 3 and out of the game. Shannon to punt. Just outside his own end zone. And here comes the Tigers, almost able to get a hand on that. A flag.
I didn't think they hit the kicker, so maybe it's a holding on Auburn. To be honest, I didn't see him hit the kicker at all.
I didn't either. I didn't think they touched Shannon. It's a 59-yard punt.
Personal foul, number 25 of the defense for leaping the punt shield. It's a 15-yard penalty for the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Yeah, that's one of those player safety rules that they have, where on kicks, on punts, and on the extra points and field goals, you can't jump over people.
That's Jamal Brooks, who's a true freshman. He's from Alabama, Bessemer, Alabama, near Birmingham. And there's the Missouri miscues tonight. The 5 drops you mentioned just a short time ago. The 4 penalties and 3 of those pre-snap.
And it's 5 penalties now, and Auburn's got the ball back, so that's almost a turnover.
Yeah, it really is.
The 2 turnovers. Missed tackles, that's been something that has plagued this team throughout the season.
Stidham comes under center. Eli Stowe gets a nice block on the edge, and another into Mizzou territory. Wrestled down inside the 40 by Ronell Perkins.
Kind of almost a quasi-reverse on that last play, and Stowe with that speed, he gets to the edge. Look out, baby.
31-yard pickup for the speedy Eli Stove. Motion in the tight end, Jalen Harris. Cam Martin. Pushed back by Beisel and others. Let's look at that last play involving.
Yeah, and it seems pretty consistent. The first play of a series, Auburn's going to go into the bag of tricks a little bit. And this time it's I don't know if that's a full reverse, but it's definitely a wide receiver getting the ball after a fake handoff to the edge and exploiting the defense with his speed. That's a pretty good average tonight for Mr. Stove. That's a hot stove.
Martin. Therese Hall able to wrap him up. Pick up a 2.
This Auburn tailback position is pretty deep. We haven't even seen Petway tonight, and you know, he had what, 34 carries last week, over 100 yards and 3 touchdowns himself. So they've got some depth. We've seen Devin Barrett, and we've seen plenty of Kerryon Johnson, and Cam Martin has showed us a few things as well. They got a nice stable.
Yeah, Petway, he's on the sideline. We haven't gotten any word that there's some kind of health issue.
Might be tired from last week.
And the last 2 weeks where he's really been the exclusive ball carrier. Stidham will take off, come to the near sideline, and run out of bounds at the 36.
And they tried to set up a screen on the left side, and Therese Hall was right in the hip pocket of the back, and so Stidham had to just pull it down and run. I think they're going to go for the long field goal with Carlson. He's 9 of 15 in his career at 50+.
Last year hit a couple of 53-yarders, one against Clemson, one against Vandy. This is a 52-yard attempt. His career high is 56.
Enough leg.
And straight down the middle. What a weapon Daniel Carlson is.
Big weapon.
Well, after UCLA and Stanford on ESPN, tune in to Sports Center. They'll get you updated on all the latest sports news. They'll have all the late game highlights and everything else. And you can also catch it streaming live on the ESPN app if you're on the go. Jarrett Stidham.
That's got to be a pleasant conversation. 48 points put on the board by Stidham and company tonight.
You know, and I know there's 2:25 left third quarter here, Ray. Obviously, part of the conversation around Auburn was the fact that Sean White dismissed from the program. So that guy who was the number 2 quarterback. So Gus Malzahn has Malik Willis, who's a true freshman, who has not taken a D1 snap. They have Devin Adams, who got a little bit of his first D1 experience a couple games ago. But if you're Gus Malzahn, is this the kind of game where you at least get at some point Malik Willis in there to get his first D1 snaps?
He's a true freshman, and do you want to burn his red shirt if you don't have to? I mean, that's the equation. But if you're going to maybe have to use him at some point, then you get him in there. So I say, yeah, put him in the ball game here and let him get some reps in the fourth quarter.
But you just mentioned the other side of the equation, which is the important part, that Auburn is indeed, the plan going into this year was for him to redshirt.
Yeah, and that's why he was not an early enrollee. He wasn't there in spring ball, just showed up in the fall. And that's hard to get the whole program together just through a fall camp where you're running third string. You're not going to see a whole lot of reps.
But with the departure of Sean White, that means Stidham and Willis are the only 2 quarterbacks on scholarship right now on the Auburn roster.
Yeah, Devin Adams, you mentioned, basically has been running their scout team stuff, and he is a zone read guy. That they love the way he runs the ball, but the throwing part of the game just isn't quite there. And they've been real happy with Malik Willis. And in fact, Chip Lindsey was excited about him, as was Gus Malzahn. They said, this kid's legitimate. He can throw it all over the yard, and he runs a 4.340. So,
well, he just put his helmet on, and he got a little tap on the top of the head from the teammate. We'll see if we do see him. Here's Jonathan Johnson to the edge, to the 37. Well, we mentioned it, and now all of a sudden there's Willis kind of taking some snaps. So
yeah, I think this is an ideal time to get his feet wet. No, you're on the road, SEC opener, but you're in command big time. Turn him loose.
Crockett falls forward across the 40 to the 41, tripped up by T.D. Moultrie. You know, as far as the trying to redshirt him, you know, Stidham, you got a long way to go in this season. And you know, at some point, you got to make a decision on that. It looks like we're going to see Willis up near midfield. Was Demarie Crockett, gain of 9.
Decent little run by Crockett. Looks like he had a little something to say about it afterwards. I don't know if I'd be talking a whole lot right now.
Crockett again kicks it out right. He runs in Darrell Williams. And there is Mizzou player slow getting up.
Can't quite get the number from this angle.
Definitely one of the big guys on that line.
Looks like it's Castillo, the center, who's a redshirt freshman himself. You asked about him, Mark, and they said they really liked the way he went about his business to win that job.
Yeah, redshirt last year, as you said, but this year he won that starting center job in camp. Samson Bailey had been the primary starting center a year ago. They shifted him over to right tackle, and good to see Castillo get up. He's out of Webb City, Missouri. One of the high recruits for the Missouri Tigers.
So they bring in Jonah Dubinsky to replace him.
Guy who's a former walk-on, just got a scholarship.
Right, and you keep your eye on that first snap when you get a new center in. That's always an adventure.
Hometown guy. Dubinsky is out of Rockbridge High School here in Columbia. Second down and 4 for Mizzou at the Auburn 44. Crockett.
Spit it up.
And Auburn has it. That was punched out by Montavious Atkinson, and Daniel Thomas recovers. Third Mizzou turnover.
You see the rip right there. It looked like there were two guys ripping at him, one from the outside, one from the inside. Put the crunch on him and popped the ball loose, and that's just more bad news for this Missouri football team. You got to start wondering what's down the road for this group.
Well, we have a new quarterback for Auburn. This is Malik Willis making his Auburn Tigers and D1 debut. A guy, when we asked Gus Malzahn about it, he said, hey, he's a good dual threat guy, runs, has a good arm, and he's going to run on his first collegiate play, get to the edge, get a face mask, and his head spun around.
Yeah, welcome to the SEC. But that's what you're going to see with Willis in the game, the whole quarterback run.
Personal foul, face mask, number 17 of the defense. 15-yard penalty for the end of the run, automatic first down. Number 14 is allowed to stay in the game.
You might remember a guy named Cam Newton, who was a quarterback, and Gus Malzahn was running the show, the offensive part, at Auburn. And that's what they kind of have in mind for him. They feel it's a similar kind of talent.
Well, he's never going to forget his first play, run, and DeMarcus Acey just spun that head around. The helmet came off, but as you heard the official say, he can stay in the game, obviously, because of the penalty. Willis will keep again. Run right. Well, staying in the play was Anthony Sherrills.
Sherrills gets a missed tackle and a tackle on the same play.
And a loss of 3, a tackle for loss for Anthony Sherrills, the second of the year.
And Willis, I'm not even sure he's reading this zone read. He's just yanking that ball and running. That's what he wants to do. He said, I want to show you, coach. And Gus is saying, I don't know.
The third quarter has come to an end.
So that takes us to the end of the third quarter, as we'll go to the fourth as Auburn leads Missouri 48-7. Welcome back to ESPNU College Football Primetime, presented by Dr. Pepper. We welcome you back to the SEC on ESPN to begin the fourth quarter. Auburn has dominated 48-7.
Yeah, a lot of crooked numbers up there for Auburn.
So we begin the fourth quarter. Auburn a 2nd down and 13 at the 38 of Missouri.
I want to see Malik Willis throw the football.
Have yet to see that. Let's see if he's going to put it in the air. He is going to take off right side. Now he will throw and finds a man wide open. That is Griffin King to the pylon. Touchdown.
Ask and you shall receive.
But there is a flag back at the 35.
Somebody blew the coverage, and that's all about your eyes, having eye discipline, which is something Coach Odom talked to us about. Actually, Kevin Steele mentioned it as well on the other side. That's how this game is played. You got to have your eyes in the right spot, or you're going to get beat. And if you don't read your key, you're just flying around and running around out there like a chicken with your head cut off, and that's been an issue. We'll see what this flag's about.
We have 2 fouls on the play. Ineligible receiver downfield on the offense number 74. That penalty is declined. Holding offense number 4. That penalty being forced 10 yards from the previous spot. Repeat 2nd down.
Well, Wilson Bell, the guard, was further than 3 yards downfield, so he got that penalty.
Yeah, I'm questioning in my mind whether or not this is actually supposed to be a pass. And I think what happened is the receiver just kept on going, and Willis ran out to the edge and said, whoa, wait a minute, I got a guy wide open. He hummed it down there, and that's why you had the lineman downfield. A bit of a head start.
Whiteside was drawn off or not. It's Kobe Whiteside, a true freshman out of Houston for Mizzou.
Prior to the snap, offside, defense 78, 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
Let's check in with the studio quickly.
Second and 18 at the 43.
Chris, thanks very much. Here's a pass brought down at the 40-yard line is Miller. Joey Burkett with the tackle. Kentucky leading Florida. Kentucky is the next opponent for Missouri. Mizzou has an off week from the schedule next week, but then they have the Wildcats in Lexington, which will be the first road game of the season for Mizzou as well.
And I don't think that Missouri will be favored in a single SEC conference game this year going forward. They've got Idaho and Connecticut on the schedule that they'll probably be favored in those, but I don't see it in an SEC game.
Willis wanting to run. He's chased in the backfield, gets away from one Missouri Tiger, turns it upfield, bounce off.
Yeah, this is great work for Malik Willis to be with this offense, you know, in a meaningful game that there's not a whole lot of pressure on him. Because you never know, you know, you're one heartbeat away from being that next guy up, and you got to get things together so that you can produce when and if that happens. And so this is great work for Willis. Another 50-plus yarder here, 54.
Yeah, for Daniel Carlson, who's hit a couple of field goals tonight, and he's looking to add a third.
No problem.
Wow.
He got a big, that's a big weapon. Didn't we say that before?
Yes. It's bears repeating. Carlson adds to the lead. It's 51-7 Auburn.
Right now, you're watching that. While Dari, Gene, and Chris are watching this, doing that, and talking to this guy. Which means you can watch it all later when you tune in to SEC Now. Tonight on the SEC Network.
Back here at Faurot Field in Columbia, 51-7 Auburn leading Missouri. 13:24 to play in this fourth quarter after a 54-yard field goal from Daniel Carlson.
And I'm wondering if maybe Missouri might try another quarterback. I haven't seen anything that might indicate it, but I'm just throwing that out there. At this point, what do you have to lose?
Let's take a peek at our SEC news and notes. How about that OT game again in Jerry's world? Texas A&M and Arkansas, that's kind of par for the course for them 3 of the last 4 years now. And A&M comes back to win. Alabama rolled over Vanderbilt. First loss for Derek Mason's Commodores, and Tennessee and South Carolina able to escape. UMass and La Tech gave those two teams all they could handle.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of that Tennessee UMass game, and I feel bad for Butch Jones. He lives and dies 1,000 deaths. Butch coached my son up at Central Michigan, so I know him pretty well.
Took the last second field goal for South Carolina. Come away with the win. Locke dumps it off, and he finds wide open Albert O. Okwe Bunam.
And this is your pop pass. All you people who remember the veer and the option game from back in those days, pop pass was a huge part of that. And it's kind of been revived with all these RPOs that we're seeing, these run pass options. The pop pass is making a comeback.
And a 23-yard gain. Missouri first down.
They hit that pop pass for a 56-yard touchdown against Purdue last week.
Yeah, I believe that, or a couple weeks ago, there's a catch by Mason. He's up to the 40. I believe that was against South Carolina.
You're right. It was 2 weeks ago, yeah. And then they didn't run it last week.
And they had 3 points.
Yeah, I don't know.
Locke on first down, puts it in the air, taking a shot towards Mason. And a flag at the 5. John Broussard, number 22, with the coverage.
I want to see that one again because I'm not sure who they're going to put that on. Looked like it was just a flat-out drop.
If he was grabbed before that.
Pass interference, defense number 22. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot, automatic first down.
Call from Matt Austin, our referee.
Take a look at Broussard and see if he gets there a little early and got that arm across the chest before the ball got in, and so it's a good call. Couldn't see it from our angle up here, but it's pretty obvious right there.
Locke taking a look towards Jamon Moore into the end zone. Touchdown, Mizzou. 14th career touchdown catch for the senior from the Houston area. 25-yard TD grab there.
And here's Jamon Moore. You see he's going to beat his man inside. This is that X-receiver I talked about, and it's a post corner route, the old Poco. And he turned that defender around, got himself wide open, and Locke had the time to deliver the football.
That defender, Trayvon Leonard, a true freshman cornerback into the game, is obviously the 2s and some 3s on that Auburn defense getting some time. Tucker McCann's point after attempt. Two touchdown throws tonight for Drew Locke. 51-14 Auburn. Still 12:15 to go here in Columbia.
ESPN College Football is presented by Dr. Pepper, the one fans crave, and in part by Bass Pro Shops. Your adventure starts here.
Well, this is Memorial Stadium, but it's also Faurot Field, and that's Coach Faurot, former Tiger great, Mizzou Tiger great head coach that the field is named after.
And number 5, Devin Barrett.
12:15 left. Glad to have you with us on this Saturday night from Columbia. SEC matchup between 15th ranked Auburn and Missouri. Their first meeting since they played in the 2013 SEC championship game in Atlanta. It's going to be run out. Greg Benagini up near the 20. Well, we've been seeing Willis at quarterback, but let's go back to Jarrett Stidham. What kind of day did he have?
A real good day, and this is the first throw of the ball game, just to let you know. And he shot deep 4 times tonight, hit 3 of them for 161 yards and 1 touchdown. And he really carved up this defense. And the running game supported them greatly, but when they had to have it on the throw, when the opportunity were there, that's the kind of results you got from Jarrett Stidham. I think he took yet another step this week in terms of making fewer mistakes, having cleaner operation of the offense, and not getting, I don't know, the deer in the headlights or seeing ghosts in the pocket or any of those things. He looked really good tonight. Smooth.
Willis hands off Malik Miller. So Malik Miller, a redshirt freshman running back from Mobile, Alabama. gets his first carry. Back to Stidham, though, Ray. Let me ask you this. Obviously, this Auburn defense, this is a championship caliber defense. And I guess the question for Auburn fans is, can this offense with Stidham grow to the point where they can run through the SEC? They have Alabama at home in the last regular season week.
I believe they have a chance, a good chance. This offense, they had the turnover problems last week, put it on the ground 5 times. But if they didn't, they still gained over 500 yards. You know, they ran into that Clemson team and they got hit in the mouth a little bit. But their defense hung in there toe-to-toe with Clemson. So if they can keep building and growing on offense, they could really threaten to do the whole thing.
Well, obviously last week 5 turnovers against Mercer. Had somehow they lost to an FCS team, that would have really killed any chances for a chance in the college football playoff. But the one loss to Clemson right now is not a bad loss, obviously. Something that can be survived.
I mean, that was a close game.
Yes.
14-9. There's a flag on the field. The officials are trying to sort that out. But they are in prime position. It's all out there right in front of them. And I'm talking college football playoffs, not only just SEC title game. So it's going to be an interesting season. And I'm anxious to see how these Auburn Tigers finish out.
The play results in a first down. Following the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 16 of the defense. Unsportsmanlike conduct, number 86 of the offense. Those fouls offset. That's the first unsportsmanlike for each player.
Tucker Brown, tight end for Auburn. Marcel Frazier, defensive end for Missouri, called for the personal foul. They got tangled up there well after the play, which went towards the sideline anyway.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Tucker did, but pretty obvious that Frazier was going after it.
Now, Frazier's a guy who led Mizzou last year with 8.5 sacks.
There wasn't no down goes Frazier on that one.
Yeah, that's maybe the weird thing tonight. We haven't seen a sack on either side.
Both teams getting rid of the ball quickly in a lot of that passing game stuff.
Malik Miller. So the 38 tripped up by Eric Beisel.
Malik Willis, after that first series when he kept it every time, now he's starting to hand the football off a little bit and getting in a better flow of this offense. And if he can develop like they think he can, he's got a lot of talent. He's only got the one completion, at least the only one that counted. He just dumped it off a little bit.
Jet sweep. Gabinagini. But that's stopped in its tracks by Beisel and Lee. Noah Gabinagini. He's a true freshman out of Trussville, Alabama. Guy with some speed as well.
They've got some really good young football players, talented. The question is, will they develop? Can they develop? And if the past history is any indication, they will, because it's a very good coaching staff they've got there at Auburn. They'll make sure of it.
And a flag at the snap.
Prior to the snap, false start, 74 offense, 5-yard penalty, still third down.
They get Wilson Bell, the backup right guard, who's in there now.
After the penalty,
Wilson, who's a graduate transfer, he's been at Florida State.
at the 31.
And playing time with the Seminoles, got his degree in the Mobile, Alabama native now, a grad transfer from Gus Malzahn's team.
We'll see what they allow Willis to do here on this 3rd and 11. They're going to let him, do a progression read down the field, or like a real pass play. See what he's got. And they are.
And he's pressured, and there's the first sack of the night on either side. We'll see who they give credit to. It looks like Kobe Whiteside.
Frazier was up in there as well. I'm not sure who got him first.
True freshman Kobe Whiteside.
And that's not on Willis at all. I mean, that broke down pretty quickly. He really didn't have time to make any read or throw, but he's experienced his first sack now. See if Ian Shannon can get off a good one.
Floyd calling for the fair catch and takes that at the 42-yard line of Missouri. Under 8.5 minutes to go here in Columbia after a 38-yard punt. Next Saturday on ABC, we'll have a huge showdown in the ACC. Kelly Bryant, number 2 Clemson. They're in Blacksburg to battle Cam Phillips at number 13 Virginia Tech. Tigers Hokies, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. And it also streams live on the ESPN app. We have 8:21 to go from Columbia, Missouri.
And the kids are playing with the rocks. It doesn't look like the most comfortable place to sit, that's for sure.
But hey, when you're that age,
oh, it's all fun.
51-14 Auburn. Out to Ishwitter. Little juggle, comes up with it. But we'll lose yardage. Lose a couple is Tyrone Truesdell, who's a true freshman out of Augusta, Georgia, getting some action, and he's there to make the tackle.
And that's another one of those defensive line rundowns where those guys, they figure it out quick and they fly sideline to sideline and wherever else they got to go.
That rundown is kind of a Ray Bentley stat. Well, I think we'd like to get that as an official stat somehow. It's a good one to know, especially for this Auburn team. It really amplifies and shows you their effort. Here's a deep throw by Locke for Mason. You saw the official throw his hat. I think Mason was pushed out of bounds.
Yeah.
Came back in. Let's look at the Mizzou schedule. No game next week for them. They are off. Their next game is in Lexington against Kentucky on October 7th.
As I said earlier, I don't see them being favored in any of their SEC contests going forward. And then the 2 games they have in the middle, the non-conference ones, Idaho and UConn, they will be favored in those, and they should win those. But everything else, boy, that's the way it's looking right now. It's not a primrose path by any stretch.
The clock's down to 4. Got it off just in time. Locke to the near side, caught in stride, and stepping out of bounds, Jonathan Johnson, who picks up his 10th catch of the night.
Corner route, we saw one earlier for a touchdown, and then that's the only second time we've seen that little scheme tonight.
Picks up 25 yards, first down. Mizzou at the 34 of Auburn, and here's Locke going towards the end zone. A battle and incomplete. Intended receiver is Nate Brown in the game for Missouri.
The coverage was outstanding because it forced Brown out of bounds to get around him, and then that just disrupts the whole timing of the play. So nice job down there by the corner. I believe it's Jason Smith.
Well, over 7 minutes to go. Mizzou facing a 2nd and 10. Quick strike near side. There is a catch for Nate Brown. Brought down by John Broussard, a gain of 5.
Drew Locke still in this ball game. And I'm not sure how I feel about that. I know that he's the guy. There's no question about it. But in a situation like this, are you gaining anything by having him out there, or do you take a look at another guy at some point?
Locke fires near side, a sliding attempt at the catch by Albert Okowe-Bunam. Well, when you talk about Locke, they have an off week next week. Does that play into the thought process right now of Barry Odom?
I don't think that has anything to do with him. I just think, obviously in his mind, Drew Locke, he's going to go the distance with him. That's his guy. And you see the numbers from him tonight, mildly pedestrian.
Going to go forward on 4th down and a long 5, and now Barry Odom wants a timeout, so they'll burn their first of the half.
Timeout, Missouri. The first timeout of the half.
So we'll step aside as well with 6:30 to play in Columbia. Well, Mizzou, a 4th down and a long 5 with 6:30 to go. They're at the Auburn, just inside the 30-yard line.
wonder what's going through Barry Odom's mind. It's not how he pictured it. You know, he talked to us, said 15 games into this, he knows, and that's his word, he knows they're going to get this turned around. And he says he's seen steps in the right direction, but we're not seeing it. You know, and that's where it matters. You know, you can make all the steps you want inside your practice facility, but when you come out here in front of 50,000 people, that's
and locked.
Got clocked.
Blindsided by Jordan Peters and sacked by the true freshman, a loss of 8.
And Peters is going to come off the edge, and they're going to forget about him. And you just got too many people, not enough hats to block, and that's what when we talked to Coach Kevin Steele, he said, well, a pressure is when you send 5, and they got 5 to block. He says a blitz is when you send 1 more than they can block. Well, that was a blitz.
Jordan Peters from Muscle Shoals, Alabama. So Auburn takes over on downs. You know, Barry Odom got the head coaching job after Gary Pinkel retired. Look at Willis brought down. He was a very popular choice with the players.
Oh, big time with the players.
He played here at Mizzou and had a couple of stints on the staff, named head coach. A loss here tonight, he'll be 5-11.
But the way they made a little bit of a rebound after a slow start last year, and they got things moving on offense. That has not yet happened this year. And then the defense, you got to wonder. I mean, Missouri was known for that when they went to those back-to-back title games a few years ago, and all of a sudden that thing just seems to have dropped off the cliff. And you got to wonder about the pressure now on Barry Odom.
Malik Miller up across the 45-yard line. When we look back to last week, the loss to Purdue, let's face it, Ray, the frustration at Mizzou, it resulted in some bad body language on the field. It wasn't good to watch if you're a Mizzou fan.
Unacceptable body language. Now, we haven't seen that tonight.
Yes, correct.
And so that's a step in the right direction, but you look up the scoreboard and you say, okay, what does that even mean?
Well, Missouri Tiger team, it's going to have at least a week to think about it with the off week next week before they hit the road for the first time in Lexington.
And that can be a double-edged sword. Well, you know, when you lay an egg, you know, put out a stinker, like this one's going to be categorized. It looks like they got that first down. When you do that, you want to get right back out on the field immediately. On the other hand, it might be time to lick your wounds and consider, you know, an overview of, all right, what can we possibly do here to turn this thing around? And that's what they've been doing. But you have to wonder at some point, when does he lose that opportunity to turn it around?
Yeah, but athletic director at Missouri, Jim Sturck, who hasn't been here all that long, he replaced Mack Rhodes.
You get the impression, Mark, when you hear his comments, he's not big on changing coaches in the middle of a season. As things go, a lot of times you'll see people pull the trigger prior to a bye week, which is the situation we'll be looking at. I don't get the sense that it's at that point yet, but it's getting there.
Gain of 5.
And you know, you live in this area, and people are not happy right now. And I said it earlier, you got a little spoiled, and you know that's good. You want to spoil them, but you go to back-to-back SEC title games, and then you only win one SEC game the next year, and now this year you start out 0-2. Things get a little iffy.
And Mizzou now in their 6th season in the SEC. They came over from the Big 12 for the 2012 campaign. Malik Miller going to lose a couple of yards thanks to Nate Anderson. See the points off turnovers tonight, which really early in this game, a Mizzou turnover, I believe on their 2nd possession. That was an early turning point, and it seems odd to say in a 51-14 game, but
it was 14-0 right out of the blocks. The lock interception on the tip ball. That, you know, any hopes and dreams you had in that whole fast start that they talked about.
Yep.
That didn't happen.
That was one of Barry Odom's keys, start fast. Didn't happen.
I'm not a big believer in a fast start. Yeah, you want to have one, but it's a 60-minute game. And so to say, oh, we need a fast start, and if you don't get one, what are you telling people? Well, we didn't get our fast start, now what? I'm not a big proponent of fast start philosophy, if you will.
Well, one of the other keys for head coach Barry Odom, the fast start they didn't get. The other was play with energy. Where do you come down on that tonight?
Much better than last week, but I don't know. I can't think of any instant where I can say, yeah, this specific example of here's where they showed energy. I don't know if I see one of those. Whereas I can tell you right now, Auburn showed me energy on the first series when they had their defensive line run out and clock somebody on a bubble screen. Those guys were flying around the field. There was no doubt about it. That's energy.
Coming near side, and Malik Miller wanting to run over some people. Tackled by Cam Hilton, the junior out of St. Louis and Webster Groves High School. But Eric Beisel had an opportunity to bring down Miller, but missed him.
You know, I've been part of a lot of football teams over the years, and it seems like every one of them we would have a players-only meeting at some point or another when we ran into some kind of adversity, and guys would get in that room and they'll say this, that, or the other thing. Only one time did it really manifest into something positive, and that's because a fight broke out between two guys who were feuding, and we cleared the air.
That's when you were with the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, and so I don't know what it's going to take, but the player meeting deal, that option's been used, and it didn't prove to be effective.
And that was on Monday. It was publicized. There's a pass behind the intended receiver, Griffin King.
Didn't have his feet set.
Yeah, that players only meeting.
Yeah, they went to Coach Odom on Sunday night after their regular meetings, and they said, hey, Coach, we want to get together as just a team and talk about this. And Coach Odom said, hey, I don't have any problem with that, but that's not going to fix anything. It's what you do out on the field that's going to take care of business. So, yeah, go ahead and talk all you want. And he supported that, and I do too. I think, yeah, it can be a good thing, but it's not the panacea or the answer for sure.
Malik Miller inside the 30. Terez Hall and Joshua Bledsoe combined on the tackle, a 4-yard gain. Just over 30 seconds to go. Auburn
I'm
will
impressed.
improve to 3-1 and win their conference opener.
You know, I went back and watched the Mercer game again because I didn't come away with that thinking that this offense could be what they want it to be. And after watching it again, they moved the football up and down the field. 3 of their first 4 drives, they turned it over inside Mercer's 30-yard line. And 5 times in the course of the day they turned it over. I'm thinking they're going to score on at least half of those drives. And so I came away with a different feeling the second time I watched it, that they're not that far away from being pretty good.
Last play of the game and a slide by Willis. Well, Auburn had 5 turnovers last week, none this week.
Made a difference.
In a 51-14 win for the 15th ranked Auburn Tigers. So the frustrations continue for Missouri as they drop to 1-3 and 0-2 in conference. Playing a good night for Jarrett Stidham and the Auburn offense.
Yeah, and look out for these Auburn Tigers. I think they're the real deal coming down the pike.
Coming up next, ESPN Goal Line, followed by ESPN Films 30 for 30 Youngstown Boys. For Ray Bentley and our entire crew, I'm Mark Neely. Thanks for sharing this one with us. Good night from Columbia, Missouri.